It's on record here. Say that again, Oshi.
Yeah, I've actually never purchased a coffee in my entire life. I don't hate on it. I don't drink it.
So you say you never purchased, but have you tried it? Like, have you had
Yeah,
caffeine?
I've tried it. I've taken sips. I've never actually like finished a full cup of coffee myself.
That's crazy. Good for you.
I know it's crazy, but it's the
What are you
God's own
into?
truth.
What do you drink?
I just like water, tea, pretty much my go-to.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a fair alternative. I mean,
Because I just always, I don't know, I knew of the whole like addiction thing where your body would like crave it eventually and it would be tough to stop, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to get into that because that's like an expense as well, and I'd rather just drink the free stuff, nice water, tea,
yeah, man. I mean, I literally got charged. I think the total was like $9.35 for my coffee this morning.
Whoa,
And-
actually, that's really crazy.
Yeah, it was like I was saying.
From where? Like a Starbucks or something? Or?
No, it's a coffee shop that's like right next to the park here in Austin, and I walk by it every day. And like, it's a nice restaurant, but so I just for the first time was like, you know what? I'll just get a coffee to go. It's literally next door. I didn't realize it was attached to one of the nicest hotels in Austin.
Mm.
So I guess that's probably why they upcharged it. But like, I was like, hey, can I just get like a latte? And yeah, it was so expensive.
Better come with like a gold bullion or something.
This is it. Like, it's not bad. It's not bad, but I could have paid a third of the price at the Capital One Cafe.
What makes a good coffee versus a bad coffee?
I mean, so much goes into it. The beans,
Does it taste good?
does it taste good? Yeah. Proof of taste. There you go.
I was telling Jack, I just drove to Florida from Nashville, and rural America is expensive. We stopped in Montgomery, Alabama. It was $8 for a Vietnamese coffee at this Vietnamese restaurant.
Whoa.
And then it was like 10% tax, and then I tipped $1, so I was like sitting at basically $10 for a coffee as well.
Wow. Did you go to NOSTR-Bama?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that was going on this week.
No, I missed that.
We
Yeah,
got
just so
Nosterville
curious.
coming up at the park in Nashville too in a few months.
Oh, nice. I've actually never been to like a Nostr convention, I guess. I definitely
I
want to
haven't either. And
Seems fun.
that's actually, I was going to ask this later on in the conversation, but we're kind of in it already.
We're rolling.
Yeah, we're rolling. So, Oshi, thanks for joining the Medium of Exchange podcast. And before we get into like what you're building and what you're selling and crafting, you are NOSTR-Only, and that was one of the insights you gave us when we were going back and forth on email. So, would love to hear how you ended up NOSTR-Only, what your thoughts are on why you're NOSTR-Only, and I'll have to put you in touch with my buddy Andrew Hodl, who's also NOSTR-Only, based out here in Austin.
Cool. Yeah. How my way to Nostr. So I've been selling and making this pecan butter that I call Hodl Butter now, and also these bars, Hodl bars. But I've been making this stuff for about 3 years now, and it actually had a different company name. I was just selling like, small shops and family friends and stuff like that. I've actually never done like a farmer's market or anything yet. But so I've been doing that for a few years, and then I had all these extra glass jars that were just kind of sitting around. I was trying to clear some space, and by this point I was already on Nostr for like my personal stuff, and then it just dawned on me, it's like, why don't I just bring this business to Nostr for Bitcoin? It's like I could actually probably sell this stuff and clear some space, get rid of these jars. Let's see what happens. But before I did that, I wanted to change the name. So I probably sat on it for like a couple weeks trying to think of what to rename this. So I wanted something simple, something that made sense, kind of catchy, but so yeah, I just kind of landed on Oshi because it also had like 3 different meanings. Obviously giving homage to Satoshi Nakamoto, but also in Japanese, Oshi is like giving respect to, or giving like just immense respect to like an individual or something. So I thought that was pretty apt. And Oshi being just like short for shit, like this is really good stuff. So it was like a trifecta of meaning. I was like, oh, I'm rolling with it. I'm just going to call it Oshi. And so brought it to Nostr. And I actually made some other sales before I opened the NPub for Oshi, just through like my personal stuff. But yeah, I came to Nostr with it, and it's about 3.5 months now. It's been great. Sales aren't like overwhelming or anything, but they definitely come in. I've gotten rid of those jars, so I'd actually buy more. Yeah, earning Bitcoin for it feels so much more rewarding, and it just kind of makes more sense when you think about it and understand what Bitcoin actually is. And yeah, it's just been a great experience. I'm really happy that I can say that I sell Hodl Butter on Nostr for Bitcoin. It's like, you tell someone that on the street, they had no idea what the hell you're even saying to them. It's like,
You're living the future, man.
yeah, and I definitely am, and it's been fun. It's a lot of work and still learning along the way. So
Can you just give a really brief synopsis for our listeners who are not necessarily familiar with Nostr, what that even is?
so my understanding, or how I guess I would describe it as, and I'm not too technically inclined or anything. I'm not like a developer or anything, so forgive me on some of this stuff. Nostr is basically just a decentralized protocol where you can actually own your social content, your social graph, and retain those followers, retain all those notes and posts that you make. You're able to plug and play into other clients that are actually utilizing the Nostr protocol. And you can't be necessarily banned for saying something that's out of line or, doesn't agree with consensus or whatever. You can say what you want and you actually retain your content no matter what, and you can move it elsewhere. You don't have to spin up another like Instagram account and start all over with your followers and everything. And when I learned that, it just like blew my mind of how cool that is to like plug and play from one client to another, and it displays it completely differently. Like, there's clients that are like Substack or like Twitter or Instagram, like there's similar ones like that. And so Nostr is basically the place where you don't have that censorship. It's like free reign, and you can earn Bitcoin for your posts. Like, you can actually earn value for saying insightful stuff, and you can give value to other people because you like what they say or what they produce. So it's just like this totally revolutionizing way of social media and business and preserving value. And it's just, it's a lot to take in. I can understand why people are kind of not sure about what it is because it's so new. I mean, I think Nostr's been around for 3 years now? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's come a long way. I mean, from my time, I've been there for maybe 9 months now in total, and it's just grown a lot.
Yeah, no, Nostr is one of those things for me where I see, to what you were saying, I see how like early it is. So I don't view myself as like one of those first movers, where credit to you for actually like diving in and seeing the opportunity and starting to use both what you were describing of providing value and giving value, and then taking this product that you alluded to, Hodl Butter, and providing it to people who want good, clean, and like nutritious products. And I'm interested to hear about how you came up with like Hodl Butter. I was reading a little bit on your website about, the fast you were going through and how you decided to break that fast. But I want to kind of get some more context into why you decided to fast. Then once you had that, that Oshi or oh shit moment where you were like, wait, this is something that I can craft and actually potentially sell.
Yeah, so I'm still in that fascination. I do fast. I try to at least once a week on Sundays because, that it is actually the day of rest, and I don't think people actually practice that. But I think the whole fasting thing was really interesting because, for maintaining yourself over time, you want to have good health, and good health involves basically like giving yourself a break, giving your body a break of digesting all the time. It's like your body is always on. So learning about fasting and learning about Ramadan and how they broke their fasts with water and dates, and I thought that was so curious. I was like, first off, dates, dates never came across my mind ever. My family never really had dates in the house or anything like that, so I tried one, and then it just blew my mind on how good this fruit was. And their fruit, it's actually the oldest cultivated fruit in history, so that's another little interesting thing. But so one thing came to another, and I eventually started making tahini, which was kind of like a classic Middle Eastern pairing with it. And then pecan butter came on the radar. But before that, I actually did some research around where I live, see if there was any pecan groves that I could contact and develop a relationship with. And I did. I found one. He's a great guy, farmer. He's 74 years old, older guy, but he's been so supportive of what I do. And when I just paired the pecan butter and the dates, it was just an overwhelming sensation of holy cow, these things together are amazing, and I've never seen it paired together like this. So I kind of just made that the niche of just making pecan butter with locally sourced pecans that I have access to, and the dates, and just pairing them together for a more health conscious, clean snacking experience, especially for those that are into working out and want the carbs and stuff. It's this is good stuff. This is actually great stuff for that. And then Actually, the more I think about it, I was thinking about this the other day. I really got into like butters and jams from. I went to Germany a long time ago. I was dating this exchange student at the time, and I went to go visit her. This was like maybe 15 years ago or something like that. And like in Germany and in Europe, they're really big on like spreads and stuff. Really nice butters and jams, and I think that's what really brought me to making the butter and stuff like that, and like the whole tahini thing too. So yeah, that's kind of like a rambling history about how it kind of started, but yeah.
No, that's super interesting. And I have a friend who is also very interested in like different condiments and butters and sauces and stuff. And he's starting or trying to start his own tahini brand. Cool. And kind of bring, that Middle Eastern culture more to both the like modern Western types of condiments that we see on the market, but also like expressing that tradition and a lot of the values that go into making that type of sauce, because or sauce might not even be the right word, it's more of like a spread, but it's really interesting, the opportunity, because it's such a like ancient and embedded thing that's been used for generations. But particularly tahini, which is interesting that you mentioned it, but even dates as well, like there's not much like quote unquote innovation going on with those, yet they still hit, right?
Yeah,
like when people have them, they're like, oh my god, this is delicious.
Yeah, and what gets me is that like I mention it to people and they're like, oh, I hate dates, and I just look at them like, have you actually tried a date, or are you thinking about prunes? Because those are two different things. Those are two different experiences, and I know for a fact that's what they're thinking. And I think of like, yeah, it's just like, dude, you've never had a date if you said that you don't like dates. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But to each their own. But most people say that response, and I'm just like, yeah, you probably had a. It's funny though. Actually, I thought about bringing the tahini back because pecans, they're not like a yearly thing. I'm actually on my last bin. I'm actually down to the last maybe 5 jars for the year, and then I'm gonna move on to something else. I'll have some butter reserved for making the bars and stuff, but I actually thought about revisiting making the tahini again. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk further. Yeah. I'll have to connect you, because that could be interesting.
Definitely.
And yeah, he's a great guy. So that
where
could be fun.
is he? Where is he from?
Well, I met him when I was down at school in the Midwest. I'm in Indiana, but his family, I believe, is from, I don't want to misspeak, I believe Syria maybe, but I'm not.
That's cool.
Some Middle Eastern country. And yeah, he was telling me a story about how his grandmother used to homemade tahini, and now he's kind of trying to like revitalize it, because when you go to Whole Foods, like tahini that they sell, the most common one that's sold is in like the Whole Foods 365 brand.
Yeah,
which is like super. It's just super generic.
That's what we
buy. There's no brand around it. There's nothing that like is exciting. He's trying to kind of give it some juice and give it some modern flair.
Yeah,
in a way that it deserves.
Yeah, exactly. That was my whole thing with I guess the pecan butter. I mean, first off, you never eat. I mean, you guys can tell me. I'm sure you can't find pecan butter or pecan butter. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had it. I don't think I've ever had pecan butter.
I've had it before. It's so good. It's so delicious. And we've made our own, like mixed it with like chocolate, and it's nice. So good. Yeah. But it's hard to find it like in a store. Like I think I don't remember how we got it. I think we may have made it ourselves. I think we put it in like a NutriBullet or something. I forget.
Yeah, I never see it. I'm always looking for it whenever I go to grocery stores. I mean, I'm always like doing some like R&D, looking at the butters, looking at the bars, like the date bars and stuff. So it's always on my radar. Never see it.
So
Jack and I are so happy you're here. But here's the deal. We need your feedback. What do you like? What do you not like? Who do you want us to have on the show? In my businesses, anytime I suggest copy edits, I always say edits welcome. Guys, edits welcome. Please comment, and while you're at it, do us a favor and like and subscribe. It really helps out the show.
The mix and the combination between like food and providing healthy, nutrient, simple products, I think is on the up and coming, right? And then you're combining that with another thing that's up and coming in Bitcoin, and then the third piece of Nostr as well. But I'm putting Nostr to the side here. I do want to kind of get a further understanding of like your Bitcoin journey and how you came to find Bitcoin, and then what your process is of like having this great product and then being like, I'm going to use this great product plus this great money in Bitcoin to grow this thing and sell it and share it to other Bitcoiners.
So I've always been interested in markets, like trading markets and stuff, like for a long time, because I just wanted to learn, this graph here. It's like I can actually like make money from this. So early on, I thought that was just genuinely interesting. That was never really exposed to me and like my family, and so I don't know how exactly I stumbled onto it, other than the fact of like, I'm just trying to earn some extra income doing other things, and it just, I caught fascination of it, and then went through a few years of, doing penny stocks, did like the whole options and then futures and rabbit hole there. And then a friend of mine mentioned Bitcoin back in, I don't know, late 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And I thought it was interesting. I didn't know much about it, and kind of put it on a back burner for a few months. Went to go revisit it, but I think it was Cash App. I was actually researching that a couple days ago. Bought my first Bitcoin on Cash App, of all things.
That's what all-time highs will do to you. You go back to see your previous buys.
Yeah, it was actually really cool to see like where I first got in. It was actually around like 8,000, but I eventually sold it. I'm sure like everyone else's story here, like I sold it for a little bit of a profit and didn't jump back in until like maybe a few months later. But when I started to understand it more, I think the person there's a couple people actually I came across. First off, my trading coach at the time, her name is Justine Williams. She's like the daughter of Bill Williams, who's like this well-known guy who created a lot of indicators that you see on like trading platforms like the Bill Williams indicator and fractal and stuff like that. And we talked about like the I Ching a lot, very like stuff that you wouldn't think about trading systems and stuff. So I learned a lot from that, and Bitcoin was mentioned there too. But I think when I came across like Giovanni Santastasi when he was talking about like the whole power law thing, and also Jack Cruz early on, and combining, talks about biology, mitochondria, networks, physics. And then I just started learning more about money and the history of like the economy. And it just like, it became a no-brainer to me that Bitcoin, like, I think it's Bruce Lee who said something along the lines of, don't fear the guy who practices 10,000 punches 10,000 times, be afraid of the guy who practices one punch 10,000 times, because that's you want concentration, you want one trick pony, really. And Bitcoin seems to like tick that box for me personally, and it just drew me in. So like earning sats for the pecan butter and the bars and stuff just felt so much better, like, because over time it's just going to increase that value as long as you hold it. So you can't do that with fiat currency because they're just printing more of it. And so it was just such a simple decision for me once I understood more about money, more about just history, really, like understanding what money is and some history, basic US history, like, Bretton Woods, the Fed, 1971, things like that, just really kind of like concretized my understanding. And I think a lot of people, maybe you guys as well, have gone through that, but I think people really need to understand what money is on a very basic understanding. So
I feel like that is the irony of Bitcoin. It's like the more you try and look into the future, you're actually just looking into the past. You begin to study the history of money, monetary adoption, monetary policy, salt and shells and gold-backed paper money and fiat and like all the things, right? Mm-hmm. You really have to lay the groundwork from the past in order to understand what's coming.
Right.
That's
it's
really
good
cool.
Foundational stuff.
Yeah, what did that feel like when you got your first payment in Bitcoin?
Oh man, dude. I mean, setting up the whole website and everything, because I actually do run my own node. I have like a Start 9 unit, and I run my own instance of BTC Pay, and have it hosted on a front end for the website. And doing all that was actually a lot of work. I got a lot of help from other people, but when the first payment came in, it felt so cool. It just felt so rewarding that I spend all this time and headache setting this stuff up, hoping that this sort of thing will be receptive amongst other Bitcoiners, amongst other people on Nostr that respect this approach to supporting the network, to supporting new ways of conducting business. I don't know, it just felt right. It just felt really cool to be part of this new movement forward for businesses and stuff. It's like, again, we keep saying it, it's like it's still early, but I'm just so glad that I'm a small part of this stuff. And, talking to you guys, like, and getting the message out, and maybe encouraging other businesses like myself that sell maybe peanut butter or cookies or whatever, to start understanding Bitcoin, to really get yourself out of this like spiral of fiat currency debasement and start like saving your time, saving your value, putting it into a better system that supports you over time. And again, it's just like a no-brainer to me when I first understood this stuff. And there is like a challenge. It's definitely hard to like grok for a bit because it's totally against what we've been taught in school, and just like this stuff isn't talked about. But even, I mean, it's being more so talked about now, which is super cool. So definitely bullish for like the foreseeable future, that's for sure.
So you're running your own node. What did that feel like, not just to like take the first payment, but to like have self-sovereign money? Like 10 minutes before we hit record, my wife called me. She got this new job. She's like, hey, where do we want to put the direct deposit bank account? And she was like, how about Bank of America? And it reminded me, like, we still have an account with Bank of America, but it wasn't that long ago that they shut me out. And I had to like cancel all my meetings that day. Because I like wired some money and they thought I was fraud. And then they just literally like removed my access to my money for the foreseeable future from all my accounts. Wow. So, I mean, I don't know, like for you, like how did that feel to just be like, wow, like literally no third party can take this away from me. No government, no.
Yeah, it all starts with holding your own keys, holding your first seed phrase, and then going up and running your own node. And I think running your own node is like definitely one of the steps that everyone needs to take eventually. I knew early on that it was something that I knew that I needed to do. If I'm going to do this properly, I'm going to spend the time to learn a bit about it, do it myself. And yeah, it feels really good. It feels like I'm impenetrable. Like you can't, like what you were saying, they can't close my account. They can't like charge me a $45 fee because I want to send it to someone in Europe. Because I was going through that a couple weeks ago. I had to like send a payment or something from my bank. Or no, it was like from PayPal or something. Yeah, it was something with PayPal. It was like such a headache. And I was just thinking to myself, God damn it, why can't I just send sats to this person instead? Like it's such a real world experience that I had. And it's just such a pain point. Lots of friction. And yeah, just running your own node, it doesn't have to be too complicated, but it's one step further towards like your freedom of like your money. Like it's your money. Yeah, it's super cool. I really encourage everyone to I mean, you don't even have to like build your own Raspberry Pi or anything. There's units that you can just like plug and play. I mean, of course you can take that route if you want. I went ahead and just got the Start 9 unit just because of other things I was doing and juggling. I just needed to get the ball rolling. And
I did this Raspberry Pi route at first. It was a horrible experience. Start 9 is definitely easier. It's way better.
Yeah, I love the user interface. The customer support's great. It's a solid unit. Max out the storage and everything too. So just because, the whole time chain is going to just expand as time goes on. But yeah, it's been a journey. It's been one hell of a journey, man.
And I think, the name of this podcast, Medium of Exchange, and obviously you're at like the tip of the spear. Like you're Bitcoin only, correct? Like you only accept Bitcoin.
Yeah,
so that is, like we said at the top, that you're living in the future. And I want to hear about NOSTR-Only too. Exactly. You're like, you're very far ahead of the game, really pushing the envelope. And there's a quote that I love from Game of Thrones that it was mentioned in the Founders podcast recently, where it's like those who live on the edge end up controlling the middle. So
yes,
so good for you for taking that step, but also realizing that a majority, like overwhelming majority of people have not even opened up an account yet on an exchange, let alone starting up their own node and BTC pay server. So I kind of want to flip the script a little bit and just get your thoughts on how we can get more people to want to be accepting Bitcoin or want to be converting some of their, I mean, right now the treasury strategy is all the rage, but when you look at it in terms of like a small to medium sized business, how to get them to kind of get off that hamster wheel of the fiat, debasement, and start to look at this asset that is self-sovereign, fully scarce, bearer instrument, and just an overall better money.
I don't really have the answers to that because I've been trying to think about that myself. Other than the fact that I think people need to learn, again, what money is and how that works and how it's just been debased over since really, I guess, 71. I think when people really come to that understanding and they get kind of mad at that fact. Like, you have to get them mad at like the system in which they're a part of. I think that's first. And then once they get mad, then they start looking for other ways and then say, oh, hey, actually there is a way. There's this thing called Bitcoin that you should probably learn about. And then you'll get them opened enough to like get into it. I really, really think that's like the only way, is that you have to get them upset at the fact that the system that they're partaking in is not their friend. You know, it's like, and to actually then introduce a solution, a viable solution that's been around for, 15, 16 years and it hasn't failed once, and it's actually, you retain everything that you claim as your own. I really think that's the easiest way. You got to get them upset.
Yeah, and that getting upset, that can unfortunately lead to a few different routes. Like, you can fall into apathy, you could fall into listening to the wrong people.
Yeah.
We see a kind of rise of socialism and communism, which I guess it just hasn't worked yet. It hasn't been implemented the right way. Or you can actually take the time to study what you were describing and learn the history, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's that, and also conversations like how we're having right now, because adoption is just gonna increase just by osmosis. The more and more people that talk about it, the more resonant that it is, because of just like what's happening in the economy right now and all around the world. It's just like a telltale sign. I joke to myself, it's like, how come I can understand this? It's like, I give a lot of I put myself down sometimes because I feel like maybe I'm just like a slow learner, and but I'm curious. I think curiosity is the other thing that people need to be open to. Spoke about this on another podcast, but psychedelics for me early on in my life was like the thing that opened me up to a lot of possibilities about the world and myself. And I've always just been that kind of person. It's just like, I always like collected rocks and plants and bugs and just like very nature oriented. And when I like started diving into like psychedelics and stuff, it was just like a whole other gasket that just blew off. And so it's really curiosity too that people need to retain. And I really can't imagine people getting into Bitcoin any other way. I mean, it's of course like you want number go up, but it's also freedom go up. You start to understand that this thing can actually like make you free if you spend enough time on it and respect it and don't fuck with it and actually produce value in the world and save in this thing. It's it sucks you in once you're in it, but again, you got to get them mad. You got to get them understanding history about money and stuff. And then just to be curious, maybe people should just take a mushroom trip, just one good one.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you gotta loosen them up somehow. And I don't think alcohol helps at all. I'm not a drinker myself really, but I think the psychedelics.
Stay curious and do mushrooms.
Of the earth.
Yeah.
The medicine of the earth.
Honestly, it's like the new phrase other than like stack sats, like stay humble, stack sats, and do mushrooms and free yourself.
I love that.
I've heard it's good stuff. I've never done that kind of stuff before, but
so like the first time I ever did mushrooms, and actually DMT, I've grown them and extracted that stuff myself. So it was a very like personal experience with the experience itself. So I'm very humbled and thankful for that I decided to do that. That's why I have this perspective about the things that I do. Like I never went into it all willy-nilly. Like I was actually genuinely curious about what this thing is. And, it's all behind the eyes too. I had my eyes closed, laid down, and just had the most profound experience ever. Yeah, I think people need to take the same stance into Bitcoin. It's like, it really humbles you to understand the things that you don't understand. And it's like nature itself. You're never going to understand the truth. It's ever fleeting. It's like, it's going to just keep pulling you and pulling you. And I experience it every single day. I'm always just drawn in, especially just being on Nostr too. I still have an Instagram account that I use for another account of mine, and I dive in for like 2 minutes at a time, maybe just a minute at a time, and just the contrast between the two are just so I can't even describe it. It's just so different. Nostr is so much more it's just a better place to be. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, it's like, I mean, Nostr, how I view it also is it's basically just the online Bitcoin meetup, right? So like you're going to go to Nostr and you'll meet a bunch of different people, but because the Bitcoin ethos and just that decentralized freedom focused ethos is so prevalent on the protocol, or built within the protocol rather, you're going to find like-minded people who are working on a variety of really cool things, but you have that baseline understanding of yeah, this is the future that we're working towards.
Yeah,
And
it's
typically
such a,
that's using Bitcoin.
yeah, no, I had that on one of my notes here. It's just like everyone shares the same frame of reference. We share the same consensus about things.
Yep.
And we value a lot of the same things too, which is super cool. Like, you can't really get that anywhere else. Like, it contains like the structure of really nature itself. Like, I really come to that conclusion. I think it's so strange to say that and to hear that, but I really do think that it brings the humanness back to us to understand that there's something greater here that we've been missing for a while. Yeah, we just all share that frame of reference on Nostr and with Bitcoin. It's like we're gonna have our differences too. You know, it's not like a jolly good time all the time. We're gonna have differences like the whole Bitcoin Core and knots thing, which is really interesting in and of itself. But yeah, we definitely share a frame of reference, just like what you're alluding to. So I completely agree.
And I think what's so cool about Bitcoin, and going back to, even what you were just sharing about, using Earth's medicine to find like new perspectives on things is, if it felt like for a period of time, people just stopped exploring. I mean, we haven't been to the moon since like we initially went to the moon, and why is that? Why have people stopped exploring? And then you start to have this thing come out in 2008, launched in 2009, of like, let's explore new types of money and return sovereignty in our financial system. And then from there you see so many new advancements and kind of, I guess advancements, but also return, because you have like people that are now getting more into like homesteading, and people who are trying to simplify our food system, like what you're doing with the Hodl Butter, versus all of these additives and just that's being thrown in to try and make things taste a little bit sweeter, so you get a little bit more sucked in to the artificial sugars. And it's a really cool balance of like this future focused mindset, but also realizing and respecting what got us here, and kind of marrying or intertwining those in a way that builds a solid foundation for a future that we can be proud to inherit, right? Like that's the idea. Jason, I know you've talked about a lot of what you work on is like for your kids and your kids' kids. And, I remember when I was first starting to like stack my sats rather, I was like thinking like, yeah, these are for my grandchildren. And I was, like 19, 20 years old. And people were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, and it was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way of saying I'll never sell, but it was also another way of like, that is the ethos of building a better future and working to kind of create that better future as well.
Yeah, as Jack Cruz likes to say, it's the reduction of the superfluous. It's really what I think Bitcoin ultimately teaches you. It's simplicity, man. You gotta reduce it down to its most simplest parts. Like, the whole concept of like Occam's razor too. Like, the simplest solution is like usually the best answer. And I've always been like that personally. I've always been like trying to just make sure I'm super lean in everything and all that I do, especially like how I drive. I literally use the cruise control in my car like 95% of the time, because I like to save gas. I don't want to put strain on my ankle, and I want to just like, I don't know. It's just like this simple mindset that you just need to retain, and also for long term. Like, you got to delay gratification sometimes, and this is another thing I think it teaches you too. I mean, it literally forces you to do that, because you can't get more of it. You have to like kind of wait. Keep providing value, learning. I think that's another thing. It's just learn where to add more value, and you're rewarded for it. And everyone has their own source of that. So I think people are trying to discover what value they can provide to the world. I think we need more of that, more discussions about, how, like, because everyone's so unique. Just because one person does this doesn't mean that they should also do that, but to find their niche and to earn and save in the hardest thing. So
Oshi, you have such a like humility and mindfulness to your presence. Do you think that Bitcoin influenced that?
It's certainly added to it. It's definitely added to it. But I think I've always had this. I remember there's this band. So I'm a musician. I play guitar. Been like in bands and stuff and toured around. And there's this band called Piglet. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this like math rock band from Chicago. Dude, they're so sick.
I'll have to look
Piglet,
them up.
Check it out. Lava Land is the album. It was such an inspiration to me as like a guitar player. And the bass player, Ezra Bell, he wrote this book called Astrophysics or something like that. The book talks about musical tones and light frequencies and things like that, which just blew my mind. It just opened me up, and I really think that was the book that like opened my mind to considering things I just never knew, or things I never considered at all. And then it threw me down the rabbit hole of finding people like Aleister Crowley and Carl Jung and Aldous, just all these other thinkers, and eventually Terrence McKenna for sure. Just all these different ways of like perceiving the world, and it was just always so curious to me. So I really think it's just been with me for a long time, but Bitcoin definitely, that's why I think it resonated so much with me, is because it's like I kind of felt that I prepped myself to accept this thing. And I just remember when it hit me like a ton of bricks, man. Like when I understood exactly what this thing was, I was like, oh my God, I feel so dumb to not have gotten into this earlier. And it's the same with like Jack Cruz when he talks about light, because I was so like fascinated by like food and fasting and diets and things like that. But then I understood the whole importance of actual light itself is primary, and then it's food and diet and everything else. And I was just like, God damn it, it was the thing that was in front of me the whole time. Like, it's just, that's what I mean, the whole frustration part. Like you have to find that in yourself. You have to like cultivate that frustration in yourself, and then you're like thrown into the solution. Like you find it. Like it's like, or it finds you. I'm not sure which way, but it's crazy, man. It's like such an ongoing journey.
And I love that because you referenced it before, like the best things in life are free, right? Like it's sunlight, it's water, it's, you know, the breath that we breathe, rather, the air that we breathe is, I mean, you know, going back to like taking mushrooms and medicine and DMT and stuff, like some of the best trips that I've ever had have been just self-induced through breath work and controlling my breath and like really calming my brain down and getting into that parasympathetic state of like, oh shit, I'm seeing colors now. Like there's tingles in my body. Like, where am I? Feels like an out of body experience. Like that is what's so, I guess, unique in making us realize like how small we are in the universe.
Exactly.
And Bitcoin's just one of those things where you can have that understanding and then be like, okay, I'm, like you said, I'm going to provide value in a way that I can contribute. And this thing will then help me preserve my time and energy, because that is truly the most scarce. And I want to take advantage of what is free, because that is what, you know, God and earth has provided me. And from there, I'll just see where the journey takes me and follow that natural curiosity, because at the end of the day, we all have it. Like we all have that inner child who wants to explore.
Exactly.
It just gets beaten out of us through modern society in a lot of ways. So it's like, how can we reconnect with that?
Yeah.
And find, you know, what your true quote unquote purpose is.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's that inner child, that inner curiosity that you need to keep. It's just because you're an adult doesn't mean, or that you got the big boy job is like, okay, now you're done kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I never really understood that. I think another thing, now that I think about it, was my time touring and stuff, and really experiencing different places every night, every day, different countries, and just speaking with people I never met before, and just always in a new place every single day for like a month at a time or 3 weeks at a time. And I really think I gained a lot from that experience too.
Yeah, I could imagine that's probably quite the experiit's. Like
yeah,
a lot of crazy circumstances you find yourself in, waking up being like, where am I?
Lots of concrete floors too. It's a lot of fun though. Yeah,
especially if you're a curious person, like doing all that travel. And like I was in a band, but we did very little traveling, and then I ended up going to college, and those guys, you know, kept on, and they toured all over the world. But yeah, it really seems like your curiosity, you've been able to really explore that and tap into that, which is pretty cool. Like Jesus talks about childlike faith, and that I kind of felt like that's what you were kind of referencing, is like just this childlike curiosity, right? Like kids explore, they're willing to just goof around and check things out and learn and experience the world, and that's kind of what's needed today.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. Like, I remember, not to keep harping on it, on like psychedelics and stuff, but the DMT trip I had, the first one, and both of them, there's like what's called the breakthrough, and I had it on both of them, and it's just so crazy. And the place I went to, I remember thinking that this is the place of like where ideas come from. It was just like this overwhelming sensation of just like, this is where ideas come from. Because I mean, you think about like, where the thoughts and things, and it was just I mean, we could do a whole podcast just on that. But yeah, I really truly believe it has to do with like retaining that curiosity for things. Otherwise, you're not gonna find new avenues to your business. You're not gonna find new avenues for any sort of growth. You're just gonna keep doing the thing until it stops working, and then who knows, you may just give up or whatever. But like, you have to have that degree of curiosity to just keep maintaining yourself. I mean, it makes me think about Bitcoin in terms of like the whole power law thing, because there's power laws all throughout nature, like the relationships between like even gas stations in cities. There's a power law of that. There's a power law between like the metabolic rate of like a shrew to like a blue whale. There's a power law between all the mammals between there. It's so interesting that this software, this Bitcoin thing, follows that as well. And what it implies is that it has consistency to it. It's not this exponential thing. It has this like slow growth thing to it. And it's very much like a living organism too, because as a baby grows up into a mature adult, that volatility decreases over time. So Bitcoin is literally the same thing. It's a living organism. It's remarkable, like the things that it like teaches you, and not just like money and stuff like that, but even physics and math. And yeah, it's just so interesting. I can keep going, but I don't want to derail from questions that you guys may have.
No, I think that's wonderfully said. One of the points that you made of like keeping that natural curiosity, because at the end of the day, like, there's not much existence of true original thought, right? Everything is branched off of something else. Everything's like a remix in a sense. And even bringing it back to, Oshi and your Hodl Butter is like, you just took two things that people enjoy, mix them together, and you have a product that you can sell and you can provide value to people because they can put it on their toast or whatever it may be. And like, that's literally all it takes. It's it's just taking that first step or that second step of then bringing it forward. With that, I am curious, like, what do you envision as the next steps for Oshi and the brand and the products that you're making? I know you mentioned tahini, but what are you are you trying to grow it, or how are you trying to get it into as many people's hands as possible?
It's hard. It's really a challenge because it's me just doing this by myself. I had a guy reach out to me asking me if like about scale. Like if I were to scale this overnight, what are things that I would need? And it was a good question to be asked because I really don't know much about scaling businesses and stuff like that. I'm very much just like a DIY punk. I run a few other things, but nothing to scale. Pecans itself, like, it's not like an on-demand kind of thing. They grow and then you're kind of out until like the next season, and sometimes the next season there's not that big of a supply. So it is kind of like a scarcity thing. So maybe that's part like a good thing for the business model. It's kind of like first come, first serve. That's how it's always been for me. But there's other products that I've been working on, especially bringing back the whole psychedelics thing. I've been making this, I call them BTHC nodes, which is like I extract THC from cannabis. I have a friend on NOSTR who sends me cannabis that I extract THC from, and they're great. They're such a clean high, and I really want that too. I want like to bring that back for people, because when you consume or when you just inhale smoke, it's not like the best of things, but to actually do it in like a more methodical, medicinal approach, which is like what I want to do with the BTHC nodes. So I've been doing that, and then I also had a friend send me some mushrooms. So like, I don't know, both infused psilocybin stuff and like, bringing it back in the product. So it's kind of like a nice full circle. So those are the new products on the horizon, more so the psilocybin stuff. It's just like, because when you microdose, you have this sense of clarity. It's like, we have receptors in our body for a reason for these substances. It's not just like some sort of arbitrary thing. So those are the two products really on the horizon. But the whole scarcity with the pecans is kind of like I guess somewhat of a problem. But I've been doing this for literally like 3.5 months now on NOSTR, and the orders keep me busy for like one person that has to manage the stuff and pack things up and do all the design and print the labels and make the thing and clean up the dishes and then drive and get the pecan. Like it's a whole thing. I should be charging a lot more for the amount of time that I put into this, but again, you're earning Bitcoin, so that's like the other thing. It's just gonna go up over time as long as you just hold it, keep producing good stuff. Have a big thing with like customer support and stuff. Like I always write handwritten notes on everything. I thank people. I'm just so appreciative of this opportunity that I'm like kind of given. So I don't want to like it up. I'm always trying to like make sure I'm doing good. I ask questions from people like, hey, like, what did you like? What did you not like? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, I don't know. I find it really fun. I find it really engaging. And now it's just Bitcoin and Nostr too. So it's, I don't know. It's only up from here.
What does
Hell
success
yeah.
look like for you? Like, is it scale? Is it just like expanding the product line, keeping it chill, just yourself?
I'd like to scale it up a little bit. Let me rephrase that. I'd like to make what I'm doing more efficient, sorting through the pecans and the whole packing thing. There's definitely things I can do right now, but it's just like, I have a tight budget. It's really what it is, just budgeting. Because what I do now is that I buy my ingredients with my fiat that I get from my fiat jobs and just save all the Bitcoin that I earn from sales and stuff. So trying to figure out another thing actually is trying to learn more, because I've actually never done this. I'm trying to learn more about like Bitcoin-backed loans for like collateral and stuff, because that's becoming more of a thing, and eventually it would be nice to do that once I learn more about how that actually functions and if I'm able to do that, because that seems like that would make sense, because that's what the wealthy do. They don't sell their New York property, like they just hang on to it and get a loan on it. But so yeah, I'd like to scale it. I'd like to get more efficient in a lot of the processes, but to honestly keep it small I think is good at the same time. But we'll see. The more I do this, the more opportunities come up. Like speaking to you guys, or I had a few other people reach out to me. This one guy is sending me like a thing of chocolate to work with to make more chocolates, and another guy who's sending me like some mushrooms to work with, just because they find what I'm doing like really cool. And I don't know, man. It's so amazing to me to think about. It's like, that's so cool. So we'll see over time how things scale. But if you guys have any ideas, I'm all ears on how to do that.
No, I mean, I think it's a really, noble journey, and you're blazing the trail, right? Like I said, Nostr only, Bitcoin only. You're doing these things that people don't even know exist yet. and you're creating a full business off of it and providing that value and receiving that value as well. So I think it's really awesome. And it's a really cool story, like the way that all of these kind of patterns and just blessings that are coming up, the scarcity of the pecans or pecans, however you pronounce it. So I guess like that in itself is serendipitous of Bitcoin and building this business and taking kind of a really foundational approach to have a strong structure in place. Mm-hmm. For then ultimately scaling and finding efficiencies and things like that, because there is that return. There's the Make America Healthy Again movement, where people are going to be looking for high quality, nutrient dense products that will help them not kill themselves faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, the food out there is so crazy. I posted a picture on Nostr yesterday of this protein bar I found in the grocery store. It's got carnauba wax in it, blue #1, like. It's insane. It's just so crazy every time I see it. Like, what the fuck?
Carnauba wax what we use for cars?
yeah, it's crazy, right? Carnauba wax in a protein bar. Shit, you not.
Yeah,
it cleans your insides.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. I mean, I forget thank God I forget the name of this protein bar, but like I was in a rush, so I stopped at a gas station, got a protein bar. It was disgusting. Like I took 2 bites and I was like, nope, not finishing this thing. It tasted like literal rubber. It looked like if you remember those yodels that like are the Hostess or Little Debbie thing, it looked like one of those. And so the second I opened it, I was like, oh God, like this thing is gonna be good. But I was like, I'm hungry and whatever. And yeah, I couldn't even get it down. And that's an extreme example. But then one of the things that like just really got me interested in, not radicalized, but basically radicalized in this, is I love peanut butter, right? Like I try to put peanut butter in or on as many things as possible, the added protein, and it's just delicious in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I used to have, like Skippy peanut butter or whatever, like the main brands. And one day I remember just looking at the ingredient list and I was like, oh my God, this thing is like half the label. And I'm like, it's just peanuts and salt. Like that's all you need for peanut butter. And I actually like kind of restructured my I guess taste buds, and now I buy Teddy's peanut butter from
nice dude.
From
Teddy's is solid.
It's fire. It's fire. And like it's just 2 ingredients. It's simple. It's simple and it's better, and it has just as much protein. It has all the same nutrients that you would get in a regular peanut butter, but it's also not like the quote unquote store brand that people typically buy. And I remember I had to like basically I had to have sit down conversations with my mom to be like just the most simple switch for her, like, you know, snack of like, stop buying this peanut butter. I know it's delicious, but this one will grow on you and it'll be so much healthier.
And it may be cheap.
Yeah, exactly. And now she gets Teddy's peanut butter. So that is,
Fuck yeah.
that was a win. That was a win for me. But it's then once you have that realization, similar to Bitcoin, like, you can't walk through the grocery store, and you can't walk through the grocery store the same way. Like, like you're reading these labels and you're like, wait, how do you even pronounce that? Like, why
man.
that doesn't
It's like,
belong in our
it's
food.
a whole awakening.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. Start looking for like the color blue, yellow 5 on the back of things. It's like it's bananas. It's so crazy. Literally just all poison in grocery stores. Every single product besides like the outer rim of stores, really. The meats and stuff. For the most part.
100%.
Have you seen Nutella? Like, the first ingredient's like sugar. Like, what?
Yeah.
I thought it was hazelnuts. No, it's sugar. It's insane.
And it sucks too, because like then you start to think back, similar to, you know, like in your Bitcoin journey, there's a lot of parallels with health journeys too. And you start to think back, like I think back of like what I would eat after school. I would get home from school, dude. And Lunchables, and, you know, all the Hostess like cosmic brownies and Cinnabons, and these things are like
fudge rounds.
Like delicious fudge rounds. Exactly. These things were so good, so addicting.
So good.
And now when I even think about it, I'm like that gives me that just makes my stomach turn already. And I'm like, I don't want to put that in my body. And part of it, yes, is like getting older and realizing that thing. Yeah. But the other part of it too is just understanding like that is not what we're supposed to be eating on
shitcoins.
Yeah. Whereas then you could have something like a date that is like so naturally delicious, and you're like, this tastes like candy. Like, I'd rather have that for dessert. Yeah, I'd rather have that for dessert than, you know, some like crazy little Debbie zebra cake.
Yep. Totally. I love the fudge rounds back in the day. So good. So bad though.
Retweet.
Thanks for joining us, man. Where can we send folks who might be interested in learning more about what you're up to?
So I have a website. You can go to oshigood.us. All the stuff that I have for sale is there. I may be out of stock of some things. That's just because I'm busy making them or waiting for ingredients just to come in the mail still. So you can find me there. You can find me on Nostr, and those are really the only 2 places. So yeah, come and try the Hodl Butter, get some bars, and honestly, the 2 dipping a date into the Hodl Butter, it's literally heaven. It's insane. And it's really crazy because the bars that I make, I tried making the bars without the pecan butter, and I need it. You can't do it with peanut butter. You can't do it with any other sort of, like, I think it's the granularity of the pecans, actually. It's like the secret ingredient for that. So yeah, oshigood.us and Nostr. Come and find me.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
This was really fun. Absolutely.